You and I have a rendezvous with destiny. We'll preserve for our children this, the last best hope of man on earth, or we'll sentence them to take the last step into 1,000 years of darkness.
You take on the intelligence community, they have 6 ways from Sunday at getting back at you.
We're living in a very dangerous time right now, and liberalism has lost their cotton-picking mind.
The Trump folks, if they found out how we knew what we knew about the Trump staff dealing with Russians, that they would try to compromise those sources and methods.
Nobody ever said anything about resisting Obama. They went at him on legitimate arguments.
I really do believe that much of what you saw coming out of Trump's mouth was a play from Putin's playbook.
Welcome to the Abolitionists Roundtable, your all-access pass to exposing fake news, the resistance, and the global elite's shadow government undermining American progress. Be a part of the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, your all-American hosts, Del Marsh and Phil Stargell.
Good. Greetings. Welcome to the Abolitionist Roundtable. Oh, man. Oh, wow. Can you believe it? We don't even have the first day of winter yet, and we had a little blast there. That's awesome. Yeah, I don't mind the snow. I grew up in Michigan. Always loved the snow. And I have a young daughter, 9 years old, and she, like me, she loved the outdoors too. Now my wife, that's a different story. When that snow came, boo, all she do is she was complaining. But anyway, folks, this is your host Del Marsh, sitting in studio with Phil Stargell. Got my driver here this morning too, Gary. Really appreciative of him.
The official, official.
Yeah, the official driver, my official driver, and so real blessing right there. Last night, boy, I could tell you. Yesterday, it's getting better for me. Yesterday, I went and had my chemotherapy yesterday. Came home, ate a little bit. I got a little woozy. Had to lay down for a little bit, but that didn't stop me from making sure that I looked over some of the things that happened during the week. And boy, did we have some things that happened during the week, and so we're gonna go over some of those things. But we want you to join the conversation, whatever you want to talk about, whatever's on your mind, whatever's on your heart. Again, I want to say Merry Christmas to everybody, and hope you have a great and prosperous New Year. But this is going to be a great Christmas for us all, and so Merry Christmas to you. So again, I want to say Merry Christmas. Go ahead, Phil. I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, I'll join in with the Merry Christmas. But there was one. There's been a lot of things, and I just like, before you get to the agenda, I just would like to clear up one or two little issues about the vacancy in the 13th district that John Conyers was the congressman for so long.
50 years.
They are going to wait until about a year from now before they hold an election for a special election, and I question that. And I imagine a lot of other people question it too. But so I called who I thought was a good representative at the time he's been in there, called Kerry Benevolio, and asked him, and he explained to me why basically he waited until 11 months, and he said that if he was a senator, he could replace him, but the House of Representatives, is the people's representative, and he has to be elected, not appointed.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah, because that position is something that's up every couple of years.
Yeah,
versus
it's the
senator.
closest to the
Yeah.
people. And
Yeah, absolutely. Because a senator is elected every 6 years, right?
Yeah.
He run a 6-year term.
Yes.
So that's a long
yes,
term.
it is.
Right there.
That's why he's in there for so long.
That's a long term. So
Yeah.
you're right. They have to. Yeah, they couldn't. Again, like this, we know that this seat of Sessions is going to be coming up again in a couple of years.
Yeah, yeah.
And so that's about the cycle of a, like you said, a
Representative.
representative. Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing is that, I thought, well, it would be an opportunity for the governor to put somebody in there that knew some things that would be some seed money to make this a more open process, because Conyers held that seat for how many years? 53 years. Dingle, in the same vein, held his seat, and then he passed it on to his wife. If you could have gotten an effective person in there, if that was an appointed seat, you got somebody in there. It might have been a down payment on getting some differences of opinion in how and what a congressman should be doing. When you talk about Conyers, he never passed any significant legislation except Dr. Martin Luther King birthday as a holiday. He should have been promoting things like getting some kind of taking advantage of all of the outreach from the government into Detroit to get Detroit off of the old manufacturing thing, because it went away. But now we see that there's a possibility that manufacturing could come back. And that congressperson could lead the way in getting business to reinvest in manufacturing in Detroit. But there's a lot of things that need to be done. But one of the first things is to start the people on looking at getting the business people back into Michigan. And you can see right now that Detroit is really against corporate America. And
well,
so,
I'm gonna disagree on that, because for the first time we see now if they get I'm gonna just say, Doug, and I might not agree with his position on things, but economically, Duggan has brought the city. I mean, I've never in my lifetime ever would have thought that they would have bring the big three, all three of the sport companies down in Detroit downtown right now. And these are people that invested their own money.
Yeah, exactly, and that's what needs to be done.
Free market right there that came
but
down.
How many people in the city of Detroit are behind that?
Well, it's not whether or not they're behind it or not. Of course, we got the old oligarchy. That's it was people out there when they had the grand opening for the basketball stadium, and they had I forgot the guy's name, the guy that was let it rip a number of times and went to jail for pulling a gun on his wife, but he led a demonstration, and one of the things they had signs talking about keep jobs in Detroit. They should have threw their signs down and went inside and applied for those jobs, because they have the free market has brought in jobs.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. But along with
is the thing. Manufacturing has been
well,
gone
we
for
talking about
centuries.
well, we know
but it's coming back.
Manufacturing is coming back. We see that the now it's not going to be the old factory, but that old factory down on the Grand Boulevards.
Yeah.
We see that somebody bought that old. What was it called again? The
old Packard building?
The old Packard building. Can you believe it? Somebody actually bought that. I mean, they left it vacant for, it seemed like forever. I mean, that building was vacant. They wouldn't even tear, can you believe they wouldn't even tear that building down? But somebody bought that building for X amount of dollars, somewhere around $20, $30 million, and planning on renovating that building. And so a number of things there.
But I believe that you and I are basically in agreement.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I say that
the free market, people in the free market is coming down there and wanting. Now, of course, if you get somebody that's a little different perspective, than the mayor right now.
See, the thing is that the power positions in the Congress and in the state representatives are all of that philosophy that is against corporate America and a lot of the people. But you see that Duggan was able to really have a convincing win. I don't, because he's a Democrat, I don't trust him in his outreach to the people, the manufacturing sector and the corporate sector. But the thing about it is he sees that is what's going to bring Detroit back, and he's going along with it. That would be akin to if there was an appointment made to John Conyers' seat. Maybe he could put in a few suggestions that would give a foothold or a beachhead for a Republican to have a chance. You do remember that Keith Butler was a Republican, and he was elected to office. So it is, if you can get some success going, maybe you can get a change in the way people think.
All right. Right here, we get the law of our agenda. Again, we're going to say good morning to everyone. We still, here, let me make a couple of different points here. We're still running our fundraiser. Just wanted to let you know that real quick, and then we're going to get to this agenda. We're a little behind on time. Matter of fact, Derek, let's do this right here. We're going to go ahead and do that 15-minute break, and then once we come back, we're going to make our announcements. We're going to get into this agenda. We're going to try to zoom through this through the show real quick, but we want you to be a part of the conversation this morning. 734-822-1600. So much has happened this week. Of course, we know in Alabama, Schumer think that this is a time that they can that Jones' victory is looking up for them in 2018. Charles Barkley went down there. He believed that he helped the Democrats. So we're going to talk about that banner. Was this a big loss in Alabama for him? No, we don't think so. But we're going to talk about that. Doug Jones win in Alabama is that going to help fuel the GOP to get this tax bill pushed through? And we see that is they are trying to get that through. So we got a number of things that we want to talk about. So Derek, we're going to go to the break, but I want you to join us on the other side of the break, and we're going to continue this conversation.
This is the Abolitionists Roundtable on WAAM Talk 1600. Join in the conversation at 734-822-1600. And now, back to your hosts, Del and Phil.
All right, greetings. Thank you for joining the Abolitionist Roundtable. Here, I'm going to start. I'm going to read a little something from Setting the Record Straight, American History in Black and White. This is from David Barton, historian down in Texas. And the reason I want to read this right here, because it's important that we living in this post civil rights era, and in this post civil rights era, we got misguided people like Kaepernick that went to Rikers Island. Boy, can you believe this boy went down to Rikers Island and want to speak to prisoners? I have no idea what he want to say or he need to say to prisoners. And about police brutality in the first place. So that was a very toxic speech. And so some of the number of the guards were offended. Oh my God! You would send somebody like this right here to speak to people about police brutality, and we're their police. For whatever time in 3 years, 6 years, life that these guys doing in these prisons. And but anyway, and then we're going to get the Roundtable's opinion on that, and we're going to keep the show moving. But here, I want to just say, again, we're still doing the fundraiser. Stand by your friend for the holidays, Friends of Del Marsh. Fight Against Cancer fundraiser. Join friends Janice, Milt, and Phil. And then we want to also say, Gary, go to our website at artofmichigan.com. artofmichigan.com. We need your support. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a little picture of Janice and Phil or myself. You can just click on that. You can print the flyer out. You can mail it to P.O. Box. Mail it, make out your check to Dale Marsh, P.O. Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135. Or you can just donate right below that. We have where you can use your credit card or whatever you want to use. And you can make a donation.
Yeah,
in addition, I just want to mention,
please give.
Yeah.
Because I already gave the max, and
Yeah.
I hope that everybody please
Thank you.
help Dell out.
Yeah. And so,
Yeah.
man, if I bring in, if I brought in a few weeks ago, if you've seen what my portion was of my medical expenses, just unbelievable. You know, people have been talking about what the Obamacare, with the affordable health care, what the effects have been on people. Now, personally,
Yes.
feel I now see the personal effects.
Yeah.
Because, man, I mean, I got a stack of bills, and oh my goodness gracious, and I've been paying as much as I could, but again, I'm getting my footing back at work and not really making the income that I was, but I got to put something. But anyway, so we'll talk about that again. But here, before I go into, this young kid, Colin Kaepernick, going to Rikers Island, speaking to these inmates, and then I want to get into also, in New York City. Of course, folks, you got to remember that this is a weekend show, so we're gonna zoom through some of the things that happened all week. We're gonna really run through them. We have to run through them. We're just gonna touch on them, and we want to hear your opinion on them. Is because we're a weekend show. And so some of these are the things that happened all week. We want to talk about it. You might have had a chance to talk about it on another show, but we want to run through them real quick. But here, I want to just go and read a little bit about this civil rights here, and then I'm gonna continue this so we can bring this up to date. And it says the president following Democrat Harry Truman. Was World War II hero, Republican Dwight D. Eisenhower, elected in 1952. Eisenhower was well aware of the Southern Democrat Congressional Committee commitment to racial segregation. Now, the Democrats. Now, when we see that Doug Jones, he in Alabama just got elected, I must say that now we're going back to the Southern Democrat Congressional Commitment on Racial Segregation. We're going back to an era of Mr. George Wallace. This is not a victory. We're going to take that seat back, folks. We have to take that seat back. I'm sorry that that they made the judge so toxic, but that's not a problem. In 2 years, that seat has got to be put back in a Republican's hand again, because of Southern Democrats' congressional commitment to racial segregation. Okay, so now they switched it around. They're not about segregation today, but they still are manipulating their most vulnerable vote, the people that they suppressed for 100 years after the Civil War up into 1964. They're still manipulating those vulnerable voters. Understanding that it would be difficult to make substantial changes in law and that the progress would be slow at best. Eisenhower, what he did is he determined to eliminate racial discrimination in all areas under his administration. So what he did is he said before he issued an executive order halting segregation in the District of Columbia and federal agency, therefore, furthermore, he was the first president to appoint a black American. We know that was Frederick Morris, and to an executive position on the White House staff. And although he also proposed a vigorous civil rights legislation protection for blacks in the southern Democrat states, Democrats in the Congress were able to prevent any legislative progress given his pro-civil rights record. We're talking about Eisenhower, and it says that Eisenhower, like Republicans before him, received significant support from the black voters. So at that time, we still had a number of black voters that supported the Republican Party. After his reelection, Eisenhower continued his civil rights effort before the House and Senate, but both the House and Senate, both the House and Senate in Democrat control. In 1957, he proposed a bold civil rights bill to increase black voter rights and protection. And so, right now, liberals, Democrats, they believe that they're the champions. They want to tell you that they're the champions of civil rights when this civil rights legislation was created and introduced by Eisenhower's administration. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to finish this up, and we're going to have to zoom through the rest of the agenda. So give us a call, 734-822-1600. We'll see you on the other side.
You're listening to the Abolitionists Roundtable with your hosts, Del and Phil. They're exposing the left's underground resistance while leading the charge in the fight for liberty. Join the conversation at 734-822-1600.
Hello, I'm Milt, and this is Logically Speaking Uncensored. Zero tolerance. In the lexicon of political correctness, zero tolerance means rejection of anything liberal, left-wing collectivists deem unacceptable. Liberal left-wing collectivist agendas have empowered and instituted zero tolerance throughout the United States and the world as a dogma of domination. The effectiveness of zero tolerance as a stratagem cannot be denied, as witnessed by the fact that principled people are bullied into silence, afraid to speak up, speak out, and say, do, or criticize aberrant behaviors, perversions, immoralities, or evil indoctrinations. And despite this totalitarian, oppressive disregard of civil entitlements, zero tolerance has been endorsed and received by a large segment of society, particularly in the citadels of academia and politics. I contend and stress that if zero tolerance is good enough for those who hate the United States, then it should be good enough to be used as a deterrent weapon against our enemies, both domestic and foreign, by patriots who cherish the United States. As the United States confront multiple internal cultural wars of incivilities and inhumanities such as murders by abortion and radical moral decay, the nation can ill afford the luxury of tolerance towards entities fighting to achieve our demise. Therefore, zero tolerance is an essential necessity. So, as a proud American who is not ashamed to proclaim allegiance and loyalty to the United States, I propose that the nation embrace the format of zero tolerance and apply it to all instigators and insurrectionists whose actions or deeds are detrimental to the United States, and especially to traitors and perpetrators of treason, both home and abroad. Under the jurisdiction of zero tolerance, trespassers who violate our borders should be classified as criminals and harshly penalized. And this should include green card and visa violators. Zero tolerance should also be applied to include anarchists and seditionists with provisos of incarceration and or deportation. So I implore all who love America to fight for that which is right and petition those in power to endorse and impose zero tolerance upon terrorists, environmental fascists, and climate change hoaxers, socialistic communism, hate America factions, children abusers and female genital mutilators, fake gender promoters, Democrat Party revisionist history, and all ideologies that advocate destruction, death, and violence upon Christians and Jews. If zero tolerance is implemented by the right people for the right causes and right reasoning, like the curtailment of our enemies, then it is a good thing, because zero tolerance against enemies of the United States is not a vice. I am Milt, logically speaking, uncensored, saying, think of it.
Great, thank you, Milt, for again for awesome commentary about zero tolerance and protecting our country, protecting our Constitution, Bill of Rights. And so this is important today. I remember Phil said something that just jumped out at me when the judge was running for this office. Unfortunately, he didn't do well, but what Phil said, that there is a concerted effort to replace civil rights with constitutional rights. And so, yeah, we want to get back to constitutional right, presuming everybody has their due process, that they're innocent until proven guilty. But now we see a number of people, and we're going to get to that in a little bit, because I got something I want to talk about. It's called the fall of the American male. We can see that they have that liberals, that women, that they believe. Well, I'm gonna get into it in just a minute, and then I got to get to some of these calls. So hold on. We're gonna get to the calls. We're gonna have to really go through them. I want to finish this up real quick. It's another part I wanted to get to, but we're not going to be able to get to it. But I just want to go back for a minute. It says in 1957, he proposed again. We're talking about Eisenhower. And in 1957, it was something significant going on at that particular time, too. I'm going to let Phil just kind of go through real quick, too. He proposed a bold civil rights bill to increase black voting rights and protection. Proposals promptly blocked by Democrat Senator James Eastland, of Mississippi. James Eastland of Mississippi, the chairman of the Senate Judiciary Committee. In fact, Eastman is credited with killing every civil rights bill that came before his committee in the 1950s. Okay, every one of them. They said that he is single-handedly, we're talking about a Democrat now from Mississippi, he is single-handedly responsible. So we're getting this information from the congressional records now. And then it says his committee was literally known for the burial ground of all civil rights legislation in the U.S. Senate. Okay, so I'm going to stop there. I'm going to answer some calls. We got to go through the agenda real quick, but next week what I have to do now is we're going to jump forward to the era of the 64-65 voting right, and we're going to look at that because we have people like Colin Kaepernick and others that's been misguided, and people down in Alabama that voted for Mr. Jones down there. They want to take us back to this era of Democrat in control. We don't want to go back. We don't want to go backwards. They always talk about moving forward. Well, this is backwards right here. You know, so you might not, okay, so you rejected the judge. That's okay. You know, because we know that they made the judge toxic. I mean, it was because of, we know that they made it toxic because of his Christian position, his stand on Christmas, his stand on pro-life, his stand on a number of things that's contrary to liberals. So we know that Democrat is not going to hold that seat long because his position to the Alabamians is going to be is contrary. So here, let's just go ahead and get some of the calls, and then we got to keep moving forward. Good morning, Bruce. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, guys. Again, Dale, it's great to hear your voice. I'm
praying
for you every day. You sound good, and I hope you're getting on the way.
Oh man, went through that chemo and yesterday, sat there for 3.5 hours. Oh boy. I mean,
I know all about
milk
it. Well, not firsthand, but one of my brothers is just getting over it.
Is that right?
Yeah. So keep up your strength. Build your weight back up, and you'll be cranking.
Oh man, let me just say this real quick, Bruce. The nurse was raving. She said, "Oh my God, Dale, you're continuing to pick up your weight. You're continuing. Good. So it's a process now." She was raving. He told my wife he's continuing. Every week I'm continuing to gain more and more weight. Now I'm still down. Don't get me wrong. I'm still down from my normal 170 to 175 area, but it's a continuation that's going on. Okay, go ahead. What you want to talk about?
Very good, my friend. Real quick, now that the likelihood of this tax reform bill is going to be going through, really we have to look at is when you still have the 7 brackets. And you have, my understanding is that there's actually an additional increase in the top rate for the top earners, up from 39% to 45.5%. How is that tax reform? I mean, and not only that, but Marco Rubio was holding out for increasing in the deduction for the child care. And now how in the world are some of these families that pay no federal income tax, how are they going to get a tax credit? That doesn't make any sense.
Well, he thinks that refund is more of a tax credit for them than it is for them to have more money in their pocket in the beginning. I believe for me, I would rather have my money right now. Me being a business person, I see people all the time when they show me their income information, and they have on there that they got 10 dependents and or 12 dependents, so that they can get more money back.
Well, I believe that Marco Rubio is looking out for a run against Donald Trump in 2000 because this is all of the people that came into Florida from Puerto Rico. That's for them. That's for them to recognize that he's looking out for them. And so when it comes time to vote, Florida, you in Florida. That's where the keys are at. So look for him to be running in the primary.
Well,
in primary Trump.
But let's be honest in our terms here, because I like to call things the way they are. Say what you mean when you say, like the French say. Let's instead of tax reform. Tax reform is reducing the number of brackets, cutting taxes across the board, cutting back all these regulations and just the sheer voluminous nature of the tax code. What is it now, 31,000 pages or something like that? It would probably stretch from the floor to my ceiling here in my rec room.
But see, the thing is that they had to pass what they could pass.
And
since they had to pass what they could pass, that's what you get. That you get opportunities for opportunists. Right. And that's what's going on here.
Right.
And so Marco Rubio, people realize what he is. He's an opportunist, and he saw his opportunity to make a challenge at Trump in the primaries.
Right.
All right.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be one who won't take yes for an answer because we do need tax relief and this type of thing. And you look at our what the third quarter GDP growth was something like 3.9%.
Yeah.
And that was with the hurricanes and all these other disasters that we had. We could be probably close to 4.5% next year with this tax rate reduction business. But let's be real. Let's be clear. It's just so people don't know that they're not getting the short end of the stick.
All right, Bruce. We're gonna have to keep it moving. Thank you very much for calling. We'll talk
guys,
to you
take
soon.
care.
All right, take care. Easy. All right. Good morning, Gary from Hazel Park. Good morning, Gary.
Hey guys. Good morning. Hey, most of what Bruce said is correct. However, you got to take what you can get. Like they've said before, if you're getting 80% of what you want, take it. And everything that's happened this first year has just been the pregame. Now the game is really going to start when they get these tax reforms through. And this is going to set us up so that in the year 2020, we're going to relive the 20s, the roaring 20s. If they get the tax reform, then they do the welfare reform, and you get the border closed, this country is going to grow like you've never seen in our lifetime.
Yeah.
And it's going to set us up for a really great election in 2020. 2018 should look okay if they get this through. And we're going to see GDP growth up in 6 and 7%. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
in
I agree.
In a few years.
Well, Paul Ryan has had welfare reform on the agenda for quite a while. And
one thing at a time, though. One thing at a time.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But if we could, that's where the spending is. That's where the spending is. If you can get just a very small cut in spending, man, then you can look for 7% growth. And I don't understand.
Oh man, he's talking about 7%. Yeah, that's a big jump right there. Yeah, absolutely.
You
said, if you can get spending under control, you're right about that.
And the proof of it is, look what happened under Gingrich when he got welfare reform pushed through.
Yeah.
There were a couple of that, and that's how come they keep telling people that Clinton had such a good economy because of Newt Gingrich pushing that welfare reform on it.
And as these policies make America great again, Detroit will come along behind. Detroit's got a little bit of a start because of Elrich and a couple other rich men. But they got a head start, but it'll bring Detroit along with it. So we'll make America great again and Detroit great again. Thanks, Bud. Have a good morning.
All right, you too. Thank you. All right, I'm going to have to just clear some of these calls, and we're gonna have to try to get into our agenda here. Good morning, Joe from Wyandotte. Good morning, Joe.
Hey, Joe.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
I got a problem with all of these deductions, and especially the refundable credits. I'm a homeowner. Why should somebody who rents, can't afford to buy a house, subsidize me and you? Why should someone who doesn't have kids because for whatever reason they knew they couldn't afford them, subsidize people who have kids they can't afford? SALT deductions. Why should those of us in low-tax states subsidize those in New York and California and New Jersey, the high-tax states? Eliminate all of them, or at least put a cap on them, most of them at 5,000.
Yeah, is the deduction that they were getting for those states, did they take that out, or did that remain in that bill?
I think that there was a compromise, that there was a cap on SALT. So there would be some deduction, but not full deduction. And I have lots of a problem with it, cap, so everybody, cap it to the lower tax states levels, and then the people in the higher tax states, don't be whining to the federal government, whine to Trenton, New Jersey, whine to the capital of New York, whine to Sacramento, California about your taxes being too high there rather than having to redistribute it from everybody else back to you?
Well, like Trump has said that he wants to withhold funds from certain states that are sanctuary cities, and he wants to withhold funds, but the courts are blocking that. But
yeah, that's a whole other topic.
Yeah,
but I agree with that. They need to pass.
See, it wouldn't surprise me that if they did push for a bigger thing, that the courts might try to step in and tell them that they can't do that. I mean, it's incredible what the judicial system has and how they have interfered in the legislation. Like right now, I mean, there are so many things that the judges are challenging the federal government for in their jurisdiction, especially on immigration.
And that is courts legislating from the bench.
Yep.
There is no city or state that has a constitutional right to federal money. Mm-hmm. The federal government has every right to put the strings that they do attach to them, and they can deny them those grants for any damn reason they please. It's not guaranteed money. They don't have a right to that money, and that's the important reason why we have got to get more conservatives on the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
If we allow that court to go further liberal, we need to replace Ginsburg.
And while we got a president,
the court and let Trump replace her, then we have a rule of law court.
Yes. Well, it's while we have a president that is willing to take the initiative to sign those types of bills, we better be trying to get as much help with him for him as we possibly can. And I don't see that happening. I am just so disappointed in the election results of the last couple of months. I mean, it's just disheartening, to say the least.
Well, conservatives are staying home because they're pissed off at the rhinos.
Yeah.
And we're going to be creamed in the midterms if we don't get the tax reform and some reduced spending. Trump and the rhinos are caving to the Democrats again on the continuing resolutions. Yeah. It's a $4.7 trillion budget. You cannot tell me they can't cut at least the 0.7 off of that budget.
Yeah, I agree. But, that's the way it goes, I'm telling you.
What the compromises. Unfortunately, even Reagan had to do a little compromising to get his agenda through. And they want to get something on the president's desk before Christmas.
Right.
It's not pretty, but we want to compromise on what we can and get as much as we can in there.
Yeah.
And then if we can get more, like you said, get more conservatives on the in the legislature, then we can work on this next work on 18. Work on 2020, and we can really get this economy moving. But I'm going to have to say thank you for calling this morning, Joe. We got to keep the show moving. A couple of things we want to just say, we want to talk about. So thank you very much. You made some good points. But here, I'm going to have to just zoom through them now. The ex-football player went to Rikers Island, Phil, and talked to about inmates, about police brutality, and the corrections officers were really unhappy. And so we know that this guy's a black nationalist. Why would they? And we don't know why. Well, we know why. Liberalism, idiots. And they made this. They turned around and made this place toxic with his talk.
Well, real quick, that's why it was so disheartening to see the NFL owners say that they are going to commit, $100 million.
Yeah.
And people like this will be the recipients of that money.
Yeah.
Black Lives Matter, Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, and all of these groups are going to be the recipients of money to continue this nonsense that they're spouting out. And so I suggest that that they need to come to the people that are on the other side of these issues, and talk to them and see whether or not they have a few ideas that they can put into the thing.
I agree that they should,
especially since most of the people that are supporting the football franchises are the people that are against that kind of nonsense that you see going on.
You know, here we just had the bomber in New York. If I'm not mistaken, where was he from? Was he from Yemen or something like that, Phil, Gary? We know. But it just showed the ungratefulness it also showed.
It shows the dedication to their goals, and that goal is to overturn this form of government, this self-government thing that we have in this country. They're using our rules against us, our own Constitution. They're using it against us. They'll jump up and tell you very quickly that I have a right to do this and I have a right to do that. Listen to how CARE and some of those organizations talk to you about what their rights are.
Yeah, right away, CARE jumped in, and they want to say that, you know, that the law enforcement violated their the family civil rights, and the of course we know that they went to a school just to talk to some of the kids. They want to make sure that there was nothing else, no other bombs, no other. There was no other plots going on at the time, and I mean right away, instead of CARE coming in and saying, you know, we want to protect America too, it's the opposite. They want to protect villains like this so that they can continue this era. Folks, I don't know where the time went. I'm sorry.
Roundtable invites the
we'll see you next week.
To continue the roundtable discussions by mailing correspondence to Art of Michigan, Post Office Box 135, Garden City, Michigan 48135.
Or follow Phil and Del at artofmichigan.com. You can also send emails to artofmichigan@hotmail.com. And most of all, continue to listen every Saturday and tell a friend.